This week, Parashat Chayei, we decided to talk about towards the end of the Parsha, where after Eliezer brings back Rivka with him, and she gets to meet Yitzchak gets to meet Rivka for the first time. There's some very interesting psukim over there.
Yeah, we see this whole description of where Yitzchak's coming from, where he was going, what he's doing. All this seems irrelevant to the story, but we saw how this is very, very deeply tied to what's going on here and to why Rivka was such a special fit for Yitzchak.
Exactly. Psukim that seem to say nothing about the relationship between the two. However, when we dive deep into them, we understand that this tells us exactly about the relationship between the two, between Rivka and Yitzchak, and how they complete each other, how they build a whole life together with each other. Hope you enjoy it. Take a look. Yeah, it's Parashat Chayei, fifth Parsha of Sefer Berashit, also fifth week of the war here in Eretz Yisrael. We keep on mentioning it because we have to keep on acknowledging the fact that our nation, we're still at war against the evil of this world. We shouldn't stop remembering that and keep on reminding it. This week, what I want to talk about is the story when Eliezer comes back with Rivka. And for the first time, Rivka and Yitzchak meet. Because when we look in the psukim, the Torah chooses very interesting words of psukim to describe the meeting of Yitzchak and Rivka for the first time. We are kind of used to Hollywood stories of how couples meet, and when you look in the psukim, it's very, very different than what you'd expect. Because first of all, it seems like we're suddenly focusing on Yitzchak's life. He went somewhere, but then he's coming back from that place, from Lachai Roi, and then he goes out to the field, Lasuach Basadeh, and then he sees camels that are coming over. That's Yitzchak's life. Then the Torah says that Rivka sees him and she falls off the camel and then she covers herself up. And then the Eved, Eliezer, comes over to Yitzchak and tells him that he brought Rivka over. And then finally, Yitzchak takes Rivka, brings her into the tent, and she kind of replaces Sarah for Yitzchak. And he loves her. He loves her as a wife. And when you see all these psukim, when you see the Torah mention every single thing that happened, you really have to stop and ask why. Why do we need to know all this information? First of all, why is it important to know that he came from Be'er Lachai Roi? But he didn't just come from there. He came from there after he came there, meaning he was only there for a little bit. Ve'yitzchak ba mibo. Yitzchak came from coming there. Why does the Torah even have to tell us that? But then again, when the Torah says to us, and then he goes out to the field. Okay, where was he? Did he go into a tent? Why do we have to know this? But then again, the Torah says he raises his eyes, he sees camels. Showing, okay, so he sees camels. But then the Torah right away goes to tell us that Rivka sees him. So what? Does that mean that Yitzchak didn't see her? Why is the Torah trying to point out all these different little facts, all these different details? Why do these little details affect? What is the effect that they have on the story of Yitzchak and Rivka meeting and getting together for the first time?
Yeah, it's very interesting. And let's really start from the beginning. The pasuk says that Yitzchak was coming to Be'er Lachai Roi. What is Be'er Lachai Roi? What is this place? And we know it. We've seen it before. We're going to see it one more time again. Be'er Lachai Roi is the place that Hagar goes to. When Hagar first escapes the home of Abraham and Sarah while she's pregnant with Ishmael, she leaves the home and she meets a malach, and the malach calms her down and tells her to come back to the home of Abraham. And she says after this incident, Hagam halo ra'iti acharei roi, and that's why she calls the place Be'er Lachai Roi. What is Hagam halo ra'iti acharei roi? Rashi explains there that she's saying that she used to see spiritual visions in the home of Avram Avinu. She's seen Malachim before, but now she left Avram Avinu's home. She's distant, and she's seeing a Malach, and she's seeing a godly sight outside of Avram's home, and she says, wow, I see even after I stopped seeing, I'm seeing again. So something about this place, Be'er Lachai Roi, is a well of seeing. We've spoken about this in the past. The concept of a well is something that water continues to flow from it. I go back to that well and I see new waters. And you know what? We actually spoke about this at the beginning of Sefer Dvarim, when Moshe Rabbeinu, switching roles, where until now Torah goes only through him, and now Ho'il Moshe Be'er et HaTorah Azot, he's giving us the Torah in a new way, where it's like a well, where we can come back and find new waters over and over again, even when he's not there. So this well of seeing, this well of sight of Roi, of Be'er Lachai Roi, is where Hagar sees again. She's able to connect to that godliness even though she's not in Avram's home. And maybe that's what's really happening here. Yitzchak Avinu lost his mother who had that deep vision, even greater than Avram Avinu. We know when there's an argument and Avram says, no, maybe I should leave Ishmael. No, Sarah knows what the right thing is, and Hashem even says, listen to Sarah, listen to whatever she says. She has that ability of seeing deeper, of seeing beyond, of seeing what the right thing is. And Yitzchak lost those spiritual eyes. And maybe that's what he's looking for. He's looking for that well. He's constantly. He's coming from coming, means he was looking for that be'er Lachai Roi. Just like Hagar, when she lost the spirituality of the home of Avram Avinu, she's finding that well, that new source of spirituality to reconnect to godliness. He's looking for that when he lost Sarah. And maybe that's why this is the intro to what happens here with Rivka. Yitzchak Avinu doesn't have that ability to see like Sarah. And we see this also with Rivka later, where Yitzchak Avinu thinks that Esav is the one who should get the blessing. And Rivka has a deeper vision and is able to see what the right thing is. And Yitzchak is missing this. He's lacking this. He's searching. And he comes and he sees, and again, sees the camels, but she doesn't. She, at the same distance, she sees him. Not only does she see him, she sees who he is, to the point where she falls off the camel because she's blown away by what she obviously sees, something very deep. She has that ability to see, and therefore, when they come together, when they build this new home, that's when Yitzchak Avinu has his nechama. That's when he has his comfort. When he gets these new eyes again, not Sarah, but now his wife Rivka, who has that ability to see deeper. And as I mentioned, Be'er Lachai Roi shows up once more. After Avram passes away, Yitzchak and Ishmael bury Avram Avinu, and then Yitzchak goes again to Be'er Lachai Roi, looking for that source again, to continue that spirituality, to be not just holding on to Avram or holding on to Sarah, but to creating that new generation of godliness now with Yitzchak and Rivka, with their own well, which is constantly the source of new water.
Beautiful, exactly. You know, we keep on finding Yitzchak always next to wells. He has something with wells, right? He is the one who goes and digs up wells, and he has the whole battle and fighting with Avimelech in regards to wells that we're going to see next week. There's something with Yitzchak and the wells, and of course also with Rivka, Eliezer, they met by the well. There's something with the well, just like you're saying, with the be'er, and there's also something with the seeing. Yitzchak, as we know, doesn't see in the end of his life. In the end of his life, his eyes are not usable. Maybe because he never really saw with his eyes. He was always seeing other things. Since that first time when he asked his father, where is that seh? I can't see the seh. Where is that sheep? Where's that lamb we were supposed to bring with us? I can't see it. Maybe already since then, he sees things differently in this world. And maybe this is what the Torah is really trying to tell us. Facing off Yitzchak and Rivka, Yitzchak seeing the camels, and Rivka on the camel sees him, and showing us how Yitzchak, in order to live in this world, he needs Rivka, because without Rivka, he's that olat mima, he's that seh from the Akedah. He was put by the Akedah. He went through that experience of the Akedah. That changed his life. It made his life a different life from everybody else. His experience with life is extremely different. Maybe also this is why he then is the one to go and dig the wells. But he doesn't only dig the wells for water. He's also Vayizra. He's also the one to plant the seeds. But he's not only the one to plant the seeds and to dig the wells, he's also the one that then continues on while the plants are growing. And in order to make them grow, he goes out to the field and he prays for them to grow, because he sees all these parts of growing these crops, of growing the fields. He understands that it's not only about the water, it's not only about the well, it's not only about the planting, it's not only about the seeding, but it's also about the lasuach basadeh, it's about the praying, it's about the davening, it's about connecting the sadeh to the world above, connecting the chol in this world to the world of holiness, to the world of B'shah, to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what Yitzchak went through. This is his Akedah. Maybe this is why when he comes from Be'er Lachai Roi, that's where he finds, as you were saying, he finds his comfort. That's what he needs. This is what he's looking for after he lost Sarah. Because also, let's remember that the reason that Hagar was sent away to begin with, and according to Rashi says that Yitzchak went to bring her back, was because Sarah decided to send her away. And that whole story begins with Sarah seeing that Ishmael is metzachek. Vateres Sarah with her eyes, she sees that Ishmael is not good for Yitzchak, and she says, Lo irash ben ha'ama azot. This Ishmael is not going to grow with my son, with Yitzchak. you have to send them away. They may seem close to each other. They may seem like each other. They may be half brothers, but it's not good for them to be next to each other. It's not good for Yitzchak to have Ishmael next to him for a very simple reason, because we mentioned this in the past and we talked about this in the past, about this concept that Ishmael was metzachek. Ishmael was trying to be Yitzchak. That's what Ishmael was trying to do. Sarah didn't want that. And now that we are after the Akedah, now that Yitzchak has grown, now is the time where he is a full person himself. He has his own identity. So he also allows himself to go back to Be'er Lachai Roi and bring back Hagar, not for himself, not to bring back Ishmael to influence him, but to bring back Hagar for Abraham. This is why he goes there. This is what he was doing there according to Rashi. And this also continues on to explain to us also the role that Rivka is filling in over here. Again, just like Rashi is saying, this is what Rivka is over here. He brings back Hagar for Abraham. Rivka is here for him to fill in Sarah's shoes for him when he brings it to the tent. And this is why at the end of everything, when after Abraham dies, the Torah tells us at the end of the Parsha that Yitzchak sits in Be'er Lachai Roi. But very interestingly, again, you have to pay attention to the Hebrew language. He doesn't sit in Be'er Lachai Roi. It doesn't say Vayeshev Yitzchak Be'er Lachai Roi. It says Vayeshev Yitzchak im Be'er Lachai Roi. After all this, Yitzchak, doesn't matter where he is in the world, doesn't matter where he's actually physically sitting, he's sitting im Be'er Lachai Roi. This concept of understanding, just like you're saying, that after Hagar left her home and she said to herself, I'm still seeing these malachim, the same thing Yitzchak is saying, even though I've lost my ability to see in this world, to see on a regular level, I still have this ability to live with it. This is what Yitzchak is able to do after the Ptirah of Sarah, after the Ptirah of Abraham, and he's now ready to continue his life, to build his life as a person himself, as an individual, and to continue building Am Yisrael towards Yaakov. In next week's Parasha, this is maybe the reason the Torah starts with the story of Rivka meeting Yitzchak in such a way to tell us that they are each unique in their own way, but they're also each completing each other with this ability, this great ability of seeing, the different seeing of both of them, the seeing of Yitzchak and the seeing of Rivka, that later on in next week Parasha, we're going to see how this unfolds in real time, in real life, and how it affects each one of them in the decisions that they make.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And as you're saying, they really seem to complete each other, because Yitzchak, as we know, is the one who feels things, right? We'll see in next Parasha with Yaakov, how he touches, he feels. He's also, as you mentioned, he's the person of the land, of the earth. His ability is to be connected more than others to Eretz Yisrael, be connected and experience things in a deep way. And Rivka is the ability to see. Seeing is sometimes a little bit more distant, but she has that vision. She sees, what will be. Those two together, on the one hand, being able to see the distance, but on the other hand, also being fully here, being able to experience both godliness and his mission in the world. Those two complete each other and create the couple, which are Yitzchak and Rivka, which, as you said, are the next step of building Am Yisrael.
Very good, very good. Exactly. Again, this is just the beginning of Yitzchak meeting Rivka, but for some reason the Torah puts so much emphasis on the little different details of what's going on over there. And as we keep on saying so many times, there's so much to learn from these little details in the Torah itself. Every little detail, every little word, every little pasuk has so much to say on what is going on. And there's plenty more to say here too, but we're out of time, so we'll end here.
Tuvia, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, in Mitzvah Hashem. We'll talk again next week.